Hi, everybody. Welcome to our second episode of Yoga Chat with myself and with CeeCee.
Hi, everybody.
And today we have a very special guest who was wonderful enough to be able to come onto our program and to be able to chat. She is my good friend, Cindy Lunsford, who is the former owner of 4 hot yoga studios in upstate New York. Talk about knowing how to build a community, right? She is certified Bikram Yoga, Vinyasa, Yin Yoga, level 2 and 3 Bark and Vinyasa teacher. She's also completed Anna Forrest's advanced yoga training, as well as Baptiste's Art of Assisting and Advanced Art of Assisting trainings. Cindy has completed 500 hours with both Jimmy Barkin and Rolf Gates. And for 5 years, Cindy assisted Jimmy Barkin in the level 2 trainings. And that's where Cindy and I, had the opportunity to meet. And then from there, we became really great friends when we were passing on the baton. She's also a proud Africa yoga ambassador, and she now lives in Nashville, and she owns the yoga studio in Nashville called Yoga Soul. So Cindy, thank you so much for agreeing to come and chat with us today on all things yoga in this current time.
Yeah, my pleasure. And it was tough to get you guys into my busy schedule, but I did my best. No, I'm so excited to be here. Actually, it's just like such a nice break from, I guess, in a way, doing very little. And just to be able to connect with you guys and see you face to face, it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I think that's one of, the biggest things with us right now is creating connections and keeping connections, and definitely maintaining that amongst other studio owners all over the nation and all over the world. And you're definitely my go-to girl for a lot of things, a lot of advice, business ownership, handstands, vinyasa, anything. So I think Chrissy and I wanted to be able to talk to you and have you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Nashville. What is the current industry? What is the scene in these times right now?
I mean, I think everybody's in the same boat. Obviously all the studios are closed, all the wellness facilities. Prior to that happening, I mean, this is a pretty new yoga scene, relatively, speaking. A lot of new studios popped up kind of all near each other, and then you got ClassPass. So there's a lot going on in the fitness wellness industry, sometimes a little too much because it makes it hard for, I think, studios to stay afloat. And so this is going to be really interesting to see what survives and what doesn't, and how maybe we come together more as an overall community. I think, that's always the question. It's like, how do you work with a studio when we thrive on community and connection, but yet we're also businesses that need to stay afloat. And obviously there's some level of competition with that. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what transpires when all of this is hopefully over sooner rather than later.
And what are some of the things that you're doing to stay connected to your students? I know for Chrissy, CeeCee and I, it's difficult being that person that keeps kind of the wheels moving and is the one that's in the center of, keeping the connections for a lot of people. And now we ourselves have that. Let's talk about Parigraha. Like, we ourselves are, now like, where is our purpose and what do we do and what is our seva, during all of this? So what are some of the things that you're doing to hold that torch for your teachers and for your students and even your family?
Well, obviously doing the online classes, free Instagram live classes, some Zoom. We struggle a little bit with Zoom. I technologically very challenged. And so I was very frustrated the first couple of weeks, and I wanted to throw my hands up, but I need the connection as much as my students. And if that's the only way, then, we were going to make it work. So now we're just offering a weekly schedule on Instagram Live. And I'm finding that's helping a lot of students out. I still have a teacher training going on, and I have 15 people in that training. And for me, it seems like this would be wasted time to not utilize. And for a while we weren't connecting, but we finally, now we're back on board. So we're doing Zoom meetings to get some of our hours in. So I'm happy about that. I am offering, I just put this out there, I'm offering kind of a virtual workshop. It's 1 video a day for the Hot 26 series. So it's a total of 28 days. You know, it is $28, and there's things that we're offering for free, and there's some things that we're offering, you know, at a cost, only because we have to continue to make somewhat of a living during this time. But I'm really excited about that, because it's gonna compel me to get on, you know, on video at least once a day, and I'll email that video out to my students, and it will, I think you guys will understand and appreciate this, but it's easy to do the vinyasa classes online. It's not so easy to do the Hot 26, because you use that you lose the element of the heat. And I'm a really dedicated Hot 26 practitioner. I know you guys are too. And that is a struggle. You know, I love the heat. Look at me, I'm in a blanket and my house is probably 70 degrees. So one way I want to keep those students, because some students only like that practice, you know, they prefer that. I want to keep at least their muscle memory alive, and I want to keep their interest alive, because this can be a really frustrating time. I'm hoping students are finding some way to get out there and be physically challenged, whether they're walking, running, HIIT exercises, whatever. But I also don't want them to lose connection to their physical yoga practice. And I was just telling you, Jess, and I posted on my Instagram just this morning, that I'm not a home practitioner. I love community. I love looking around the room and seeing my students and my friends and you guys when you come and visit and teach with me. It's like, there is just something so inspiring about practicing with people. And not having that, you really have to kind of, you have to create that sense. And so this is one way to stay connected with my Hot 26 practitioners. Otherwise, I know people have been getting the space heaters and trying to do it in their bathrooms, but my bathroom's not big enough to do that, so I can't. And then also, you know, I'm asking students, what do they want? You know, if they want privates, I'll do privates. They want personal instruction, I'm happy to do that. But it's definitely, I'm not gonna lie, it's a challenge for me to keep this connection and to keep the ingenuity, because the ideas are not flowing sometimes, you know. But, you know, and I met you guys at about a time when I was getting more into my bhakti practice, and I'm really relying on that right now. We all study under Raghunath, and I've been listening to his podcast daily. I do harmonium lessons with my friend online. I chant, trying to meditate more. And I'm actually, you know, I'm grateful that I have that, as I'm sure you guys are too, because that is getting me through right now, not having the physical practice as much in the community aspect as much.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. In our last chat, if people listen to it a little bit in, we specifically discussed moving your body in whatever way feels organic for you to allow the body to release energy. So if it's running calls for you, then run. If it's, I saw your Instagram the other day when you were playing basketball, and I was like, oh my God, I love this girl even more now. Right? It's just like, don't have to swish. And I was like, could this girl get any better? Right? So, you know, and move your body whatever way is calling and resonating with you, but then also taking a step back and now developing that meditative practice that will really allow for the going within, because really we have all the tools that we need to be able to get through this, sitting right here. We're just so, as a society, used to that external material fill up, that for us to step away from that, it is new. It really is a new adjustment period.
And that's why I've been saying to a lot of people, like, yogis, we've been in training for this for however long you've been practicing. We're facing the real challenge. Like, it's kind of easy to get up and go to the yoga studio and do your physical practice, you know, because it's a materially driven thing, and it's like there's the aesthetic to it. We want to look good, we want to practice. This is the harder part, like being at peace with ourselves. And, you know, I'm home alone a lot. I have my kids part-time, so I'm at home a lot. But I remember days when, you know, with the studio, I'd be like, God, I just wish I had 4 more hours today. I wish I had time for myself. well, I got it. And, you know, it's like, okay, was I really asking for that? And I have to ask myself now, okay, now I've got it. What am I going to do with it? And I'm kind of loving it. You know, I'm really trying to embrace these moments where I'm sitting in my room by myself and just being quiet, you know? So I appreciate that we have this training.
Yeah, Chrissy and I have started to shift it now, and we say our mandatory staycation, just so that the energy behind even the words that we choose, so it's not we're like, oh, we're isolation, oh, we're quarantined.
Yeah.
We're like, you know, let's shift, you know, the energy behind this, and instead of being and as yogis, you know, like you say, we're in training, we're taught to not be reactive. And this is the best time to create action. Like, how can we be active instead of being reactive? Right. So that we can within ourselves start to shift that energy and, you know, really begin to understand, like, when are we all really co-creators? Are we really as a society, like, all individually co-creators? Because every single one of us is always like, I need a few more 4 hours in my day. I need more, you know?
Yeah. I just had that exact conversation with one of my friends 2 days ago. I said, please, if I ever complain about being tired and not having enough time again, stop me in my tracks, because you know, what was I really asking for? You know, and for me, I think that it's a big reality check that at that time I was so busy, I was really poor at my time management. So even that starts to change my perspective, and taking the physical practice that I do love, and I still do love, and I missed more than anything, but it's now turning into like, now I get to focus so much more time on the part of the practice that I said I didn't have time for. So did I really not have time, or did I just not want to do it? And the reality of it is that I didn't want to do it.
I know, totally.
But it's that aspect right now that's keeping me from losing my mind.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's as real as it's going to get. It's that moment of meditation and sitting and having that quiet that is helping me kind of reel it all back in. Because even though we're not doing anything, I got 6 people in one house, you know? So like, talk about, I made a joke the other day and I said, I'm social distancing in the basement from everyone else in my house, because that's the time I was like, okay, it's time. I need to go. I need to sit. I need to listen to Jess play her bowls on YouTube and enjoy my moment. Right. So I think it's a time where everything is stopped.
I did almost sleep in my car the other night.
Oh, no way. See?
It's like, I think I could go sleep in my car.
It's true. And I mean, I have to say, I really can't complain, because everyone in my house my kids are doing great, you know, and we get along, and that's awesome. But I am realizing that I need that moment, like, for myself to look inward, even though I'm not running around and going out to the studio every day. So that was a huge eye-opener for me. You know, are we really as busy as we say, or are we just mismanaging our time, or is busy our excuse?
And I think we're also always looking for external stimuli, things like to find our happiness in the external. I've noticed this because, like, I'm not shopping online, I'm not buying anything. And there's something kind of simplifying about that. I've talked to a lot of my students and friends, and, you know, they're all cleaning out, and I think what's going to come out of this is, like, people realize you actually can live a very simple life. You don't have to have a ton of shit, you know, excuse my French, but you don't have to be happy, because what we've lost in this is the human connection. What we've lost is the ability to give a hug, the ability to sit face to face with someone. And we took that for granted. And now I'm like, it wouldn't satisfy my soul to order a pair of Lulu leggings, you know? I mean, sure, yeah, I like them, I have them, I'll probably buy more in the future, but it's not the thing that's going to satisfy the emptiness that I feel in this experience. That is being filled by this, you know, the little like things I can glean through online or a phone call or FaceTime. You know, I love FaceTime now.
Oh,
I'm not a, you know what I mean? I'm not a phone talker, but now I'm just excited. I get, you know, I talked to my sister today for about 30 minutes. We never talk, but we FaceTime for 30 minutes, and it's going to create new relationships with people that maybe, again, we took for granted or we didn't make time for. And so I love the simplifying. You know, I'm working out with my neighbors, and we share a driveway and we do HIIT workouts. It's not the
Can you imagine
ideal.
if we were her neighbor?
Oh God.
God, I would be
We
the
would
best.
You're like the luckiest neighbor in the world.
She would be the
But
coolest.
you know,
neighbor to
but it's
have.
funny. I'm not doing so much yoga on the mat. So I'm finding my spiritual practice to be stronger. But, you know, for physical, like you said, get out and move. I just need to move for the energy. That keeps me going. And with kids, you know, I'm trying to relay that information to them. Like, get up. First thing you do, move. Go out and run 5 minutes. Go out and do 10 push-ups, 20 push-ups. Not because, you know, you got to do that to be a better person, but because it's all that stagnant energy that just builds up, and it's just, it blocks everything, as you know. It will get that moving, and it just makes you feel better. I don't want to eat. The first thing I wake up, I don't want to eat because I'm just going to get sluggish and I'm going to be home all day, and that's the go-to. So the first thing I think to do is just get up, move your body, do some pranayama, you know, do yoga if that's your choice physically, or just get out and do something with your neighbors, whatever that is.
Cindy,
But
so
we
we have a lot of we talk back and forth because people who are listening to this may be hot yoga people and they may not be hot yoga people. They may be yoga people and they may not be yoga people at all. So if we were going to now introduce the word bhakti and yoga as a meditative / spiritual practice, in your opinion, because I know this word can be vast and people have different definitions of different things, but in your opinion, what would be the definition that resonates with you when it comes to the word bhakti?
I think of connection with source, or whatever word you want to use for a higher power, for, you know, Krishna, for God, but also to individual souls. You know, I love Raghunath talks oftentimes about when you can start to see everybody as a spirit soul instead of as an individual, or, you know, a white person, a black person, a woman, a man. It's like you just walk in the world and see a spirit soul. It allows for you to have so much more empathy, compassion, and connection, instead of, oh, I'm different than, or, you know, you're an other and, you know, we have nothing in common. All you see is commonality. And that's, you know, we see that in the yoga room, where you may not talk to the people around you, but you always feel this deep connection to them. And I think that's what yoga in general does, that kind of yoking and that union. But I think what bhakti does is it comes from a place of love and from the heart, you know, not just, you could sit and have that same feeling with someone.
Yeah, almost a deeper connection to something unseen, whatever that is for someone else.
And we're really having to experience it, because right now, you know, all those lines, those divisions are kind of crumbling. You know, just because you have money, what are you going to do with it right now? You know what I mean? People are wanting to give to people who don't have money. All of a sudden, that's what having wealth means. It's like, how can I share it? And all those lines are being just erased. And I think it's great. It's an equalizing force in the world right now. It's like, whoa, what makes us similar? You know, we're all having the same experience. And so we're seeing that a lot more than, oh, I'm different than everyone around me. And I do love that. I think that's really cool.
It is a very interesting time. And I know, you know, the word unprecedented keeps coming up. You know, it's I feel like very popular in the news, and because it is, but it's also on a different side where, and this is why I don't like to use the word isolated or isolation, because we actually, through the use of technology, can be more connected than ever.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting balance of the force that we have these avenues to be able to keep us connected, but yet we feel so isolated, but are we really connecting to something more?
Yeah. And I mean, and maybe it's that you connect to yourself more, you know, and I'm happy with that, because that's something I needed. I do rely a lot on, you know, people, like being with people to make me happy. And I think that's wonderful. But sometimes I know for extroverts, that's a struggle, because when you're forced to be alone, it's like, oh, maybe I don't like myself so much. And then you got to really sit with that. So that's been a really good practice for me in this, and will continue to be, I hope so.
So what are some of your tips for getting through this whole thing? Bhakti, not bhakti, like what are your go-tos when people call you and are like,
yeah, I mean,
they call you as a mentor?
I let them see that I'm struggling, you know, but I like when they ask me, because when I hear myself say it as a teacher, that student in me also listens. So I feel this obligation for what I say to my students, I need to practice as well. So I said to my friend today, meditation challenge, you know, because she was having a struggle, and I said, you know, let's just do the 10 minutes a day, keep each other accountable. You know, that's because it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm going to meditate during this time, and then end of the day, you're like, oh, I didn't meditate at all. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So keeping each other accountable, I think. I do listen to the podcast with Raghunath, because it's a familiar voice, and I just love every nugget that podcast offers.
For those of you who don't know who Raghunath is our teacher, originally Cindy's teacher. I consider him, CeeCee considers him our spiritual teacher, who we go to learn, you know, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas and Bhakti, and so much on a different level. And when CeeCee and I met Cindy, we had that deep connection with Cindy. Then, you know, Cindy brought us to Raghunath. For you guys who don't know who he is, his real name is Ray Capo. If you want to find him on Instagram or Facebook.
The podcast is called The Wisdom of the Sages, and they've got about 68 episodes. You could definitely, I would just say start at the beginning, although they are relevantly, you know, talking about things going on right now. But they're reading an ancient text, and then they're just interweaving, as Raghunath always does, you know, just like the modern.
Yeah, he's very good at that. Yeah.
So that keeps me comforted when I'm really kind of feeling lonely. I'm trying to read more. I'm trying, you know, I purchased, this is the one big purchase I've made, a yoga nidra teacher training program, because it's not something I would ever make time for, but I know it's valuable as a business owner and for my studio. I know that's something that's good for me to not only practice, but to also be able to offer to my students. And it's not my comfort zone. You know, guided meditation, you're so great at it, Jessie. It's like, that is not my comfort zone, but I always like feel like when I'm in a situation, like when I was going through my divorce, I found that the more I put myself in an uncomfortable or out of my comfort zone position,
true,
the stronger I was for whatever the other personal experience I was going through. So for me, it's like, practice something right now that makes you really uncomfortable. Because why not? I mean, why not? All the comfort zones have been, you know, pretty much taken away from us. So it just will make us stronger if we practice being uncomfortable.
This is a big moment in time too. You know, I say this when I teach, that a comfort zone is a beautiful place to hang out in, but nothing grows there.
Exactly.
Right? To talk about being compelled and thrown into a situation where A, we're not happy, B, we're uncomfortable, and C, we have to come up with a solution that's out of the norm. There's a lot of potential of exponential growth that we're given right now. And I just feel like, what are you going to do with it? Like, are you going to use it wisely, or are you going to sit and talk about all the things you can't have?
Exactly.
And it's a huge choice. That's a big choice that we have to make, because it is what it is, right? It does, for me, I say it sucks. Yesterday was probably one of the hardest days I've had in a long time since this has happened. And I can either choose to sit in that place, or I can choose to grow from that. What was it that was causing me to have a hard day? And it was really because I chose to do nothing.
Right.
I chose to do nothing.
And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. You know, we put so much pressure on ourselves, even as yoga instructors and studio owners, to be this viable thing. And, you know, it's like, it's a rat race, like everything, especially in America. And I'm kind of, you know, I've lived in Africa a couple of times, and I kind of like it that stuff has been stripped away. That, okay, yeah, maybe there's some moments during the day where we're absolutely doing nothing.
Right. And it's okay. Yeah.
It is.
I never make that okay.
Staycation.
No. Yeah.
It's staycation.
It's great. I mean, you know, my poor kids, it's like they become this conduit for me to kind of keep my control alive. But I'm trying to even back off that a little bit. It's like just realizing that, you know, hey, there's nothing to control. There's nothing to control here, you know. Give them a couple hours of work, and most of that's provided by the school online. But other than that, like, just step back a little bit. Go up in your room if you need to do that, and just sit for a second. And I mean, I got back on, I don't even watch TV, and I got into a Netflix series. And part of me is like, don't go there, Cindy. But another part of me is like, why not? You know, just have an hour of the day where you're kind of enjoying. Because that's one complaint people say about me. It's like, you need to like have fun, more fun, you know?
I think I have fun with you, so I don't know about.
I mean, we do, yeah. I mean, we work out on yoga, and that is fun for us.
And I think that,
you know,
I think that the bigger point to all of this is that there is no right or wrong to any of this. So I think maybe if that's something that the three of us could openly communicate to anybody listening to this, whether they have a yoga practice, whether they don't, whether they meditate, whether they don't, whatever it is, there is no right or wrong.
No. And acceptance. Just have some level of acceptance in every day, you know, that there's a bigger picture here that we don't have control over. So just be okay. Be okay with it. Doesn't mean you stop doing and you stop acting and you stop thinking a little bit about the future, because we all have to do that. But a part of us can just let go a little bit and kind of live moment to moment. And there's something refreshing about that.
Absolutely. Totally. Well, Sin, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate always your wisdom. And again, Cindy is putting out a 28 days. 28,
because 2 breathing exercises, 26 poses.
Yep.
$28. You'll get a video a day. The videos will start Monday, but if you sign up later, you'll just start that day you sign up. And they'll range from anywhere from probably 3 to 15 minutes. But the idea is that after each video, that whole day, take a couple breaks during the day and just do it. Do the practice of just that posture to create the muscle memory, and then take into account some of the technique suggestions, merely suggestions that I make, and see if you can maybe transform your practice a little bit while we're going through this.
That sounds amazing. We'll be sure to put the link in the comment and or the descriptions below, so we'll make sure that that's easily accessible to anybody who is interested. Remember, you guys can always message me, email me, text me, call me, whatever. And CeeCee too, she is open lines of communication. You can also follow Cindy on Instagram. She is Hot Yoga Cindy. Hot Cindy Yoga. Sorry. And she is on.
And Yoga Soul Nashville is our studio.
Yeah, and like I said, Cindy has been in the industry and in the community for many years, and is a viable go-to source for a lot of things on and off the mat. So follow her, and if you guys have any questions, reach out to any of us. We are here as always to be of service to you all.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
You too.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye guys. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.